Here we go. How is everybody? I'm going to go post the link on our website. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. You should go there too and get the sheet music that you need for today's lesson, along with sheet music for 10,000 other things. I forgot to move over the archive, yesterday's links to the archive page, so people are probably at this moment going to the wrong page. Let me go fix that real quick. Copy. I usually do that first thing in the morning. I just forgot. So let me paste it here. Oops. Control Command V. Okay. Update. Let's go erase yesterday's stuff. Erase. Oops. Come on. Erase. Erase. Update. Copy. Patience. Okay. Join space. Command V. Shift highlight. Link. Enter. Edit settings. Open. Sorry, I usually get this stuff done first thing in the morning. Just spaced out that I had to do that today. Right, Monday. Oh, yesterday was Monday, February 5th, right? We're into February 5th. Excuse me, February 1. All right. Supposed to cover up your mouth with your elbow these days, but well, you probably always were supposed to do that. But I'm in a building far away from everybody else in a locker room with nobody else around. So I'm going to sneeze in the old school way. All right, so we got the link on the website working properly. Close that down. And then, oops, I gotta hit this. And then I gotta hit https:// jollyrogerukulele.com. I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna go put on our skeleton guy. Ukulele, Jolly Roger logo. The third one down, fourth one down, fifth one down, sixth one down, sixth one down, seven down. I got to get rid of some of those dead logos. And then I hit tweet, and then close the Twitter out. Close that box out. I'll be here any minute. And 12, it's 12:07. It's time to get going. All right. So it looks like the link must be working since you guys are here. So, all right. There we go. Okay, there's that. I'm just running late. So today we're working on scale, or not scales, on your new arpeggio key of, um, where am I at? I'm on the right page, right? Lesson 16 or something. Key of G Arpeggio for ukulele players, key of D for baritone players. So let me pull that up. Today's sheet music takes you again back to arpeggio playing. Last night, if you came to orchestra class, we talked a lot about arpeggios and um, yeah, so we're gonna like, what am I talking about? We talked a lot about arpeggios, and I think it's not unimportant. I'm talking to that with the high level players and with you guys, because it really is that important to have those of you guys that are newer coming in saying, all right, I know what an arpeggio is. I don't understand. Gary's has some sort of weird obsession with them, um, and so I'm going to study them and see if I can get better at them. What arpeggios really do when you're a newer player is it's going to start teaching your right hand how to play. The left hand, less so. Well, the left hand, we have lots of more interesting and complicated things we're going to be doing with it by playing songs. But in terms of right hand skills, there's only a limited number of skills. And so it is rather important that we are very good at them. And so that's what we'll be working on today. And let me see if I can get everything set here. I had a cardboard box that was this tall, and for some reason I threw it away, and now I have a cardboard box that's shorter, and so the sheet music doesn't sit very well. So, all right, so hopefully you're fine. All right, very quickly, let's say hi to everybody, and then let's get going. My head's getting cut off just a little bit. I want you to be able to get the full effect of the full forehead. Okay, that's the goal here. Let's see. Bruce is in. Cloudy and cool in Virginia. Okay, yeah, yeah. It looks like the nor'easter missed you a little bit, huh, Bruce? Um, Valerie's in from Illinois. Sounds good. Lynn in from New Jersey. More or less stops more or less stops snowing. I saw New Jersey on the news this morning. It was pretty legitimate snow. I'm in Colorado. We're supposed to get legitimate snows here. Hasn't snowed hardly at all this year. So we just moved out all out to Lynn's house. Donna is here. Lovely weather. We have 62 and sunny today. Pam is in from Connecticut. Happy to be here. Another live class. Beautiful day in Connecticut after digging out from yesterday's snow. I know you're like, geez, of course, yeah, I guess everything's better after one of those things rolls through. Wild here today. All the ferries canceled to my island. Oh no, Janice is stuck on an island. She's gonna have to get she's gonna have to get a coconut and just sit there. Right, it's different kind of island, right? I know the wild weather out there. Uh, you know how tough Scottish people are, and they're like, well, so tough, we better not take the boats out. And you're like, oh geez, that's probably that's probably really bad. Glad you're with us, Janice. We'll play some music, right? Connie, sunny and 60 and beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful here today. Linda, sunny and beautiful there in Colorado Springs, right? David out in Michigan, nice in Michigan. Oh yeah, yesterday everybody got through yesterday's weather. Sounds like pretty well. Clear Creek running low but beautiful. Yeah, we haven't had enough snow here in Denver. Nancy, down in Florida, it was freezing yesterday. It was 54 degrees in Florida yesterday. Hard to play uke wearing my parka. It's only 56 today. Oh, Nancy, you got the worst weather of anybody so far. Elizabeth is here. She's in northern Colorado, Pam. Just wondering if you have an idea for organizing music. I do, actually. That's a great question. I'll talk to you about that specifically. Jim, what's it up there? 1 degrees Fahrenheit in Fort McMurray. It's a good day. It's 1 degrees Fahrenheit. One. That's no 1 degree. Oi, 55 and sunny in Texas. Got the donuts covered today. Howard Rob's like, oh, geez. I don't know if I'm ready for today. You're fine. You're gonna be awesome. Rob is gonna be our leader today. He brought the donuts, so he's our favorite guy. Let's talk about organizing your music because it is insane. So, um, here's how I would do it if it were me. Okay, and this is how I do it. So this is what I'm telling you the truth. Um, you're going to play through this introductory material, this 12-week, 6-week class, and your thought is, once I'm done with that, I'll just get rid of all that music because I will never come back to it. That isn't the right way to think. Okay, the thing that you will find with me is I keep going back to continuously going back to the same stuff. Not because I'm lazy and I don't have any sheet music, because I got thousands of pieces of sheet music. But we go back to some of this basic stuff to really study our toolbox, to study our skill set. It never really goes away. Now, the one piece of paper I know you'll probably never look at again is Frere Jacques. Everything else that I hand out, we end up using over and over and over again. And frankly, even Frere Jacques, when you decide, you know what, I got enough skills, my niece, my nephew, my next door neighbor, my friend from high school, whatever, somebody wants to learn how to play ukulele, you're going to bring them right to this website and say, download Frere Jacques, I'll show you how to read tablature. Download that little book with strumming in the key of A, and I'll teach you how to read chord charts. Download your Make a Better Bar worksheet so that I can start teaching you how to make bar chords. Download those major scales so I can learn how to show you how to play in first position. And so all of those pieces end up being valuable to you. Now, so if you want, you could just take the 18 pieces or 20, I think it's 22 pieces that we use for this class, put them in their own little section, keep them in order based on what's on the website, and then you basically have my introduction to ukulele book altogether. Okay, and then you would use that to go back through as you, if you're feeling comfortable playing it, you might not play it that much, but if you're not comfortable, play it front to back, right? And continue to dig into those skills. So that would be one section, maybe. However, I do think, frankly, the smart thing to do is just put everything in your book in alphabetical order, with one exception. So, happy birthday, La Cucaracha. And then, as if you came last night, you got As Time Goes By, and you just put all of this in the book. What happens is then you end up with this easy to find thing. Like when you come to class and I say, hey, let's work on this song, you just go to it alphabetically. That's how my gadget here arranges everything. Everything's arranged alphabetically. And so it all ends up, and it takes you a minute to find it alphabetically, but it's there. As you progress, what happens is you stop playing lots of songs and you start playing fewer and fewer songs, but they're higher level songs. And so there's not going to be a ton of floating around in your book. And you're going to end up working on this particular song for this particular skill set and so on. So my suggestion is, for the most part, just put everything in your book alphabetically. Don't worry about sections, because the sections start to get really muddy as we go through. Like, oh, this is jazz, this is Irish music. Well, what if it's an Irish jazz song? Then which section does it go in? And so I don't recommend doing that at all. I do some of that on the website, but I don't think it's helpful. I think everything alphabetical. Just put it all alphabetical. There is one exception to that. The stuff you work on with the arpeggios, like we're working on today, that stuff needs to be in its own section, because this is skill sets. This is an etude. This is studying a particular way of playing. And even on the website, I arrange the arpeggios. I consider it book 3, right? So I consider book 1 what you guys are in. Book 2 is the next 50 songs or whatever's on the website, that are songs that make sense, that are really fun and beautiful to play. They're all public domain as well, and so that's book 2. Real music that makes sense. And then book 3 is the arpeggio book, and then book 4, I have a theory and composition book I'm putting together, and then um, a separate section again. Christmas music goes into its own book. You're only going to play Christmas music from November and December, so that goes into its own book. You keep that on a shelf somewhere the rest of the year. And then my book 6 is all the stuff that we work on that's in the members section. So that's the higher level and more modern songs. And so those books are sort of outlined on the ukulele baritone sheet, but you don't have to think like that. Just put everything in your book alphabetical for now, and then over time, if you think, you know what, I'm getting so much music, I don't know what to take out, then you start taking out the stuff you never play, right? So that would be my suggestion on organizing your music. Um, Dennis is in from Toronto. Elizabeth made it in from Bozeman. It's a beautiful day up at Bozeman. I will point out it's 54 in Florida and 46 in Bozeman. So of the two, I guarantee the Bozemans are walking around in their shorts, and the Florida people are walking around in their parkas, right? So the world is upside down for the moment. All right, let's get going. And by the way, those of you guys I do have to tell you, you're going to end up in a little bit of a pickle here, because the music that we use here is not just, you're not just going to find it laying around on the internet. This stuff is hard to put together. There is one guy in Ireland who does some amazing work in this, doing this kind of sheet music for people, but that's it. And so you are going to end up kind of stuck with me a little bit. And so what you'll know pretty quickly is, I'm going to be bouncing around, throwing this at you. I don't spend in this first section, this first book, man, I'm very organized and pathological about you going through the steps. But after that, it's time for you to just continue to build fluid playing skills, and you will find pretty quickly. I got to find my tuner. I don't know where it went. If I would put it back where it goes, I could find it. You're going to find that we're spending so much time together that you just know which songs we're working on, and it doesn't really matter. Half the time you're going to not even have it in your book, because you'll just have printed it out right before class. I found this ukulele sitting on a shelf, and I'm going to tell you about it here in just a second. Also, I do like the idea. Some of you can afford an iPad. I do like that as a way to organize. An iPad, you have no choice, but everything will be alphabetical. And if you are a three ring binder kind of person, don't put everything in a three ring binder. Throw most of the music you've already printed out. You printed out all those chords and lyric sheets from the web. Throw all that stuff away. You're not going to need that stuff. You're going to want good quality, high level sheet music, and that's what you come here for. So, all right. Thanks, Barrett, Pam. Hopefully, there's some sense of what you're doing. Here's what I wanted to show you. I found this sitting on a shelf. I haven't looked at it in, I don't know, a while, but this looks like a perfectly lovely ukulele, right? So some of you are going to get good enough where you're going to start thinking, I should get a new ukulele. And you might see this in the shop and you might say, oh, that's an awesome ukulele. It's got a cutaway. Oh, that's exciting. I don't know what those are for, but that's very exciting. And it's pretty, right? And it's got a white thing around the edge. I don't know what that's for, but it's really lovely. And so you would might find this ukulele and they'd say it's $275 or whatever they charge for it, and you'd be like, I'll take it. Here's why you don't. Here's why you don't buy a ukulele that way. Uh, the only thing that I look at when I get a ukulele in the shop, the first thing I do is I look right down the neck. Okay, I look right down here, and every single ukulele has a little bit of a warped neck. I very rarely find a perfectly straight one. Oddly, the really old fashioned ukuleles with really thick fretboards, sometimes it's straight, but for the most part, I very rarely see one that's perfectly straight. But if you take and look down your um, neck, there'll be undulations. It might be kind of concave this way, might be kind of this way. Sometimes there's a little S shape in them. This thing has this instrument, and you can't. There's no way for me to show it to you on the thing, but it's going along right here, and then it does this major drop off right here, and then it goes along. So if I look at this, I see goes down, then there's a little ski slope thing, and goes the rest of the way. And you're like, well, why should that matter, Gary? That doesn't seem to matter. If you're down here playing somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. Here's where it matters. Okay, last note that's good is 7. 8. All right, 8's okay. 9. Not so good. 10. Pretty bad. 11. Unplayable. 12. Wrong note. 13. Same note as 12. Not supposed to be that way. 14's the same. 15 finally goes up. You see what happened there? I've got from 8 to here is all terrible. Okay, these are not good notes. Guess which notes you're going to be playing a lot of as an instrumentalist? 8, 10, and 12. Okay, so this instrument is not really usable for playing instrumental music, even though on the shelf it looks tremendous. Okay, so just be mindful when you get ready to buy your next ukulele. If you get it from Amazon, when it comes in, you got to check the neck. You got to look down there, and it needs to be straight-ish. It needs to be pretty darn straight, and then you need to check every fret. Uh-oh. That would actually make it kind of a cool song. I want to write a song just this only works on this ukulele. So be mindful when you buy stuff. We try not to. It's hard, but try not to buy stuff off of prettiness. Buy stuff off of usefulness. You're going to be a fine ukulele player. You're going to need the correct instrument, and if you have a crazy warped up neck, it's not gonna be very good. Um, you're going to end up buying another ukulele, which isn't in itself the end of the world. All right, we're going to very quickly do our arpeggio study today because this is one of those you're going to want to work on your own just a little bit. Okay, so baritone players, ukulele players, doesn't matter. I'm starting with the ukulele sheet music, and baritone players, you're going to pay attention to the lesson part of this, and then we'll play it both ways. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to grab this shape. Okay, baritone, that's a D. Ukulele, that's a G. So just look at the sheet music that goes with your instrument. Now, when we did the C arpeggio, we held the C chord and we went thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, like that. This one, we're going to do the same basic idea. We're going to grab the G chord here, D chord on baritone, but instead of using the bottom three strings, I got to use the top three strings. And then I'm going to pluck, and then I'm going to get 0, 2, 3. Okay. Then and so this is all quarter notes, whereas that song, the key of C arpeggio, was all eighth notes. And so this is bum 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 bum. Now I don't. Here's what I don't want you to do. Okay, that's wait, you can't do that. You could, but it's a different song, right? This one is, and that's what we want to do. So you're working with your claw shape. Okay. Next shape is this shape: B minor for baritone, E minor for ukulele. I'm going to go pull up my baritone one to make sure I'm not teasing you. Okay. B minor and same upper strings, and then you're going to go backwards. Okay. This is big. This stuff is kind of a big deal because what you're going to be finding is that your right hand has to be comfy with the shapes, that it has to be comfy with the pattern. Okay. And so if you you get too comfy with it on arpeggio a certain way, then you kind of get stuck. So for me, I'm constantly doing thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring. And then I get to this piece and my measure 2, it says hold E minor and do the opposite of that. So my hand's not as comfortable with that. Okay. Next note is this shape, C chord. Now I want to talk about holding the entire chord. I want you, even though on the sheet music you're going to hit 0, 0, 0, 0, I still want you to hold the chord. Here's why. One, it's good practice. It kind of teaches your body language. It teaches your body to always do the right thing. Okay. So if it says C, you're going to grab a C chord. But there's actually a real sonic reason. If I pluck this and I'm holding this down, I get it. This string here that I'm not going to pluck starts resonating in the correct key, correct chord, because I'm holding the whole chord down. So I pluck this, and this string here is sympathetically resonating. You can barely, you can't, you may or may not be able to hear it, but it's sympathetically resonating with a C note. So I'm playing a C chord. The string I'm not playing is playing a C. If I don't hold that down and I just ignore it, this is going to resonate in as an A, which is not in the key of C, and all of a sudden you start having less good tone come out of your ukulele. So if it says hold a C chord, hold a C chord, and then if you don't end up playing the string you're holding down, your ukulele is still going to sound correctly, and instead of whatever, if I add this A, it ends up being an A minor, oddly sort of. A minor 7th is what it ends up being. So I do want you to hold the chord, even though you're not going to play the string that you're holding down. Okay, here we go. So that's that shape, G chord or C chord. Okay. Next is A chord on baritones and D chord on ukulele. Middle, index, thumb, and then back to the G. D for baritone. Okay, same thing. Measure 6, do the same exact thing. Measure 7. And D. Okay, whoops. See, I'm such a pattern. Now, measure 9. Okay, let's make sure baritone is the same deal. Close that out. I don't need that. Measure 9 on. Oh, baritone. I'll have to fix your measure numbers. So your measure numbers are off by 1. I apologize. I will get that fixed. So measure 10 for baritone and measure 9 for ukulele. You are on this, okay? This shape. And you've been playing on these upper 3 strings. Now don't forget, now you got to drop down, okay? Okay, so you're going to be playing the lower strings. Thought process here is sometimes you'll play these strings only. Sometimes you'll play these strings only. Sometimes you'll play this shape. Sometimes you'll come backwards. Okay, and then you'll see down a little bit further on, you're going to be playing all 4 strings at the same time, all plucked. Everything on page one is a pluck. There's no glissandos. There's nothing fancy going on there. You're not going to actually strum down until you get all the way into the second page at that E minor, and you can see it plain as day. Oh, things are about to change there. But on page two, you're going to have just some straight melody. We're going to talk about the importance of straight melody here in just a second. All right. So what I want to do, I want to run through this from the ukulele perspective. So baritone players, if you'll take a look at the ukulele music real quick, then we'll switch and do it the other way for you guys. So first of all, ukulele players, you're at G, E minor, C, and D, right? Baritone players, you may need to actually go in. Uh, you're going to need to know these chords as well, but yours are obviously different. Yours are actually easier than the ukulele ones. This is your G chord on baritone. This is your E minor chord on baritone. This is your C chord on baritone. And this is your D chord on baritone. Okay. And that's it. I think that's the only four chords in the entire piece. There is as an accompanist, you're only going to be playing those. Now, down below at measure 13 on this page, I'm going to be teaching ukulele players this C chord. Okay, but you're as a baritone player, you're still going to play your regular C chord. Okay, because you're on rhythm. You don't care what's going on in the melody. You just care about what's going on in the beat. And the ukulele players are going to learn this shape when we get there. Okay, so let's play down to measure 13 ukulele players, and then we'll stop and have a conversation. Okay, so from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G. Add your pinky, take it out, go to a D. Those are half notes, so they're twice as long. G chord, pinky. Now, before we get too far, measure 13. If you've studied with other teachers or looked online for things you shouldn't be looking for, in ukulele that is, you've run across B flat, like two covers two, middle, and ring. Okay, next week we'll dive into B flat a little bit more. You'll have seen this, and I'm okay with you playing it this way. I'd much rather you just put a full bar, put that shape in front of it. You're really taking the A chord, putting a bar up behind it, and then you're going to slide it up to the third fret. So you're going to put a bar on 3 and this here. That's what's going on at 13. You're just taking a bar chord, a bar. We studied bar on day 3, middle and ring here. Okay, and then that's the C chord. Okay, I know when you come to ukulele and they teach you this C chord, you're like, that's the greatest thing ever. I don't want to know any other C chords, but we're going to learn lots of C chords in this work, in the stuff we do. Okay, so this is another type of C chord. It's just your B flat moved up to 3, and that's a C. Okay, pluck that four times. Then slide up to 5, same shape, just don't lift it up, just slide it up. Okay, there's that, and then back to 15, and now we go back to open chords. Go, and you're going to pluck all 4 strings. C chord, G chord, D chord, E minor, C, G, D. Okay, we'll go back to the top. We'll play it straight through to the bottom. And baritone players, nice, steady 4-beat strum. 1, 2, 3, 4. page 2, and but at the end of page 1, there's no rest. So like you need to be just go straight over and get started playing on page 2. There's no, you don't want to let linger when you switch from page to page. You just keep moving forward. So you grab your 2, and I would recommend grabbing it with your index finger, because then that puts your pinky on 5. Go. 2, 2, 5, 5, oh. Put your pinky on 10. 10, 10, 9, 7, 5, 5, 7, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 5, 2, oh, oh, 2, 3, 5, 2. So I want to talk very quickly about that melody. There's no chords there, right? So what's the baritone player supposed to do? Nothing. You hang out and let the melody happen. You're busy counting your measures until you get ready at 31, where we jump in. Ukulele players, you are trying to get this as smooth and beautiful as possible. So it's now you'll notice when I do go from 2 to 5, I don't move my 2. I just let it hang out there. That's going to create some smoothness in there. Now reach up, grab my 10. And when I get to 7, I got a problem. I got to adjust my positioning. And so I'm probably just going to go for the 5 and 7 and slide down to the 2. That puts my middle finger ready for the 3s. My 2 is still down. 2 is still down. All of those are still down, 2, 3, and 5, right? Because you're going up, and then you just switch to the other string, and now you're ready to go into some more chords. The idea here is try not to do any work that you don't have to do over here. You got plenty of work getting up to 10, following the melody all the way down and getting back into position. And so the less work you do over here, the better. If you don't have to lift up a finger, don't lift up that finger. Just let the notes continue to ring until you place down a finger in front of it. Okay, measure 31, guys. You're going into your E minor, and now the glissando shows up, the little wiggle. So you want to strum that. And then a C. And then G. D. E minor. Now you notice the glissando goes away here at 39. So now you got to quickly put your claw on. And then a D7. And then 2 Gs. And above that last note in measure 40, there's that eyeball thing looking at you. And that means hold the note longer. Okay, so I'd like to play just page 2 now all the way through, and let's see how you do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Isn't that pretty? Okay, what you're working on is called an etude, where it's the song that exists for the song. It's just designed to be studied. But when I was writing these, I wanted them to also sound like pretty little songs. And so that while you're actually learning a skill, you're playing something that's kind of pleasant to play. Okay, let's switch to the baritone version, and let's give that a try. I'm going to go grab it out of my storage here. And my fingers get stuck in the D in measure 14 and then struggle to get to the E minor shape. Yeah, yes, they do. I don't know if you are probably busy playing, so you're not busy watching my hand. I'm getting stuck in those same situations, right? And it's because it's hard. And so when you find that's the good news, right? The good news is, yep, it's going to get stuck. Yep, it's going to happen. The solution, of course, is to sit down, take some time, just in that measure. Say, all right, I'm getting stuck here. I'm gonna work on this shape to that shape, this shape to that shape, this shape to that shape. Just go back and forth for a while, and eventually, theoretically, um, you would end up being able to. Where's my D major arpeggio? Your hand would learn how to get back and forth between those two. Um, Now, a lot of times when I have had that problem where I'm getting stuck, I work and 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 work, and then about 6 months later, I still am getting stuck there. And so then I'm like, okay, this is just not something I'm ready to do right now. I'll put it off. I'll come back in 6 months. 6 months later, I do it. No problem, right? But it is a legitimate problem where you're coming into certain new skills and your hand just can't do it. So isolate the skill, isolate where it is you're struggling, work on that section as best you can. It'll get better, but it may or may not fix it at the time, but at least you've trained your hand. Hey, this is what you're supposed to do. And so take time to play stuff really, 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 really slowly. And that's the problem with doing this complicated material with me online is you sort of kind of have to keep up with me and you probably can't quite yet. One of these days I'm just going to throw this baritone away. That's what I've decided. He's just never really wanted to be in tune. He's just sort of he's like, you know what? I've been around since 1973. I've had enough. I'm done. Or I could just put some decent tuners on there, and I would avoid that problem. I got a whole mess of them in the other room. I don't know why I don't just do it. All right, ukulele players, you're going to be playing a D chord. Dun, 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 dun. You're going to be playing a B minor. What? What is that? That's a bar on two. Ring finger here. Think of it as A minor with the bar split up to two. That's your B minor. You're going to be playing your G chord right there. You're going to be playing your A chord from day two right there. Okay, those are your chords. Um, that one of the reasons we're teaching this class simultaneously with baritone is to sort of motivate you to figure out which chords you know and which ones you don't. You shouldn't be like, well, I don't know those chords. You want to get to know these chords. There's no chords in level one that you don't need to know. And um, so take a minute to go through and make yourself a little cheat sheet or write them down. Ideally, this is where you keep your cheat sheet of chord shapes. Okay. um, I don't know all of the chords, but I know all the main chords that are going to come up every single day, and so you kind of want to get in that situation too. Okay, it'll take a little while. All right, this one we go all the way down to measure 20. The measurement numbers are not right on this one, guys. They're a little goofed up, so I'm going to fix those. I see I pulled it up on my gadget and I have this giant note: fix measure numbers exclamation point. So I'll do that soon. All right, I've got to do it pretty quick here. Probably by tomorrow, I would guess. All right, measures. Let's just play. Okay, same exact skill set for you baritone players, and the difference here is ukulele players now have to learn some new chords. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change your strings. Pinky. All right, on to the 3. Up to 5. D minor. G. D. A. minor, G, next page, D, go back to the top, D, B minor, G, A, D. Keep going. Baritone, when you see a fermata, really, really let that thing ring. You got these nice strings here. Okay, let's go for a while. It's very different than a ukulele where those strings are like poink and they're done. You get wong, right? So you get a lot more gumption out of your chords than a ukulele gets. Now, let's talk about what's good and not what's not so good about this. So the good news is this is high level stuff. I'm teaching the exact same stuff in the next hour. Okay. The difference between this hour and that hour is that I purposely limited it to three arpeggios because this is hard stuff. It's very hard stuff. The fourth and beyond, there's 20, well, there's 30 arpeggios altogether in the book. The first three are okay. Beyond that, they get pretty dicey. The big skill set you have to take away from if you're on baritone, you have this shape that goes to this shape. Okay, that's pretty challenging. And I would say if that's not going well for you, you're probably hearing this. And again, we've talked about bar chords a little bit, but not as much as we need to. If you hear that, just be patient. It's exactly what you're playing it like right now. It's fine. Dunk, clunk. Okay. As your hand gets stronger and as your skill set improves. And then what Lynn is talking about is, hey, I'm playing along. And we're plucking it, right? Now I've got to get all the way back to here in the same proper timing. And I will tell you, this chord shape here was the one that put me to sleep back in the day. I just spent, I don't know how many weeks working on trying to get this to work out for me. It's just everybody has their things. Most people I teach, they're like plunk. And they're like, well, I don't understand why you had any problem with that. But yeah, you've got these bar chord skills that you're learning. You're also learning to be as patient and steady as you can. Playing with me is not necessarily the right thing to do yet. On Friday, by Friday, you want to have this as smooth and as possible. Okay, you might, and then on Friday we'll see how you do. But this is the kind of piece of music that this is the kind of piece of music, this is the kind of music where you're probably going to need to spend a little bit of time outside of class focusing in on getting your fingers to cooperate because there's a whole lot there. Okay, for ukulele players, you're also realizing as you were strumming along to the baritone one that you've got to make this chord, bar here, ring finger up on the top string. Okay, yours probably sounds like, which is fine. You know, one day comes in, sounds really pretty, but that's a tough one, right? And baritones, you actually, this is a better key for you guys, so you don't have too many super weirdo shapes that you got to do. And when you're playing along with the group, you're playing what amounts to the C chords in this particular piece of music. When they're and so it's easier for you. Um, Lindsay, it's like my pointer finger locks up. So let's talk about that just a little bit too. Okay, for those of you who are young whippersnappers, you don't understand the idea that your fingers may lock up. So you may not listen for just a second, well, because we will be predicting your future if you listen. Uh, those of us who have been around a while, this thing called arthritis, it may not bug you major on a day-to-day basis, but all of us, little bits of it starts to build up in your knuckles and in your hands, and you've been using them now for 20, 30 years. You're already, in your late 20s. Um, and stuff just gets where part of the reason for doing what you're doing is to keep your fingers moving in this fine detailed motion. It's going to help. It really is. You're doing this very complicated thing. Not only is it complicated, but you're actually having to do it with a certain amount of precision. When you pluck a string like this, it's kind of there's stuff going on there. So as we get older, what happens, and I'm the poster child of this, and these knuckles are starting to get fat. um, this pinky basically hurts all of the time because I'm asking it to do all these nonsensical things, stretching here, stretching there, lifting up, holding string number 4 down at the fourth fret. What? Why in the world? No finger should be asked to do that. And so all these muscles and joints and tendons and the bones are just tired. And they're like, man, we've been around for 50 some 55, 50. How old am I? Old. Um, I don't like doing this that much, and so it's something that I do on purpose. I want to keep working on it because otherwise, it doesn't get better if you don't do it. I guess is what I should say. It helps if you don't look at the neck, but it's really hard. So let me finish my last thought before I move on to that thought. So your fingers are going to lock up a little bit. That's why one of the reasons to do this is, that my finger's locking up. If you do it 500 times, it'll lock up a little less. It'll get you smarter about doing that. I'm believing Gary. It will get better. Question mark, question mark. Janice asks. Everything that we're doing gets better. And I will tell you, it came earlier today. Pauline, who's a regular attendee of the guitar class, she was taking ukulele, taking harmonica, and just thought, well, I got this old guitar, I'll give it a try. She's been sitting in on guitar for the last few months, and we went back and played one of the very beginning songs today, and she typed in the chat. She says, it's really nice to go back to these songs we started with because I can actually play them now. It gets better. Okay, it appears based on the world political climate that things do not get better, but in terms of ukulele, it will get better. When you play this right now, this shape here, that C shape that I asked you, when you play that and you get that, and you're like, I don't like that, and you get all sad and you're like, I'm going to throw this ukulele out the window. You have to have faith that Gary knows what he's talking about, that there comes a day. Okay, happens, but you got to build some muscle here in your hand. You got to get your fingers where they're cooperating a little bit, and they're going to get stuck along the way. Now, to the point of what Mary is saying is a different issue. You're staring at the paper and you're like, oh God, I don't want to take my eyes off the paper because I need to see what's going on over here. I will tell you that this is a process, right? When I'm staring at the paper, my hands and I have been spending a lot of years doing this exact thing, so I don't have to look over here near as much as I used to. But in the beginning, you got to look over here a lot, okay? And so you're going to get better. What you're going to get good at is peeking a measure or two ahead, seeing what's coming up, looking over here, getting everything right, looking back, having your eyes track to the right location on the sheet music. That's all part of a learning process. You'll get much better going from the sheet music to your left hand and back. That'll get worse better, okay? However, until you can play a song without the sheet music, you're not really finished. You are really not finished. Okay. So if you are needing the sheet music, you're probably going to get what you're playing in pretty well. But until the sheet music goes away entirely, you're not going to be playing that song at this highest possible level. When I play Moon River, okay, I don't have the sheet music in front of me. I know. Okay. Now, all I've done is stare at my left hand the entire time. And what the nice part about that is, I know how the song goes. I can make absolutely dead on certain that my fingers are exactly where they need to be, and I'm not having to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So when you find a song that we're working on and you're like, I really like this song, that's then this process of memorizing. And I will tell you, I'm not very good at memorizing. I don't preach memorizing as a thing. If you're taking Suzuki violin, you don't have any choice. You have to memorize everything. But in this situation, I don't expect you to. There's about 4 or 5 songs you're going to need to memorize in your whole life. You're not going to memorize a ton of songs, and you don't even necessarily know what those songs are going to be yet. But when it's time to find when you find your song, you're going to memorize it and get rid of the sheet music. Until then, you accept the fact that you're playing at a little bit lower level than you might be playing if you're going sheet music left hand, sheet music left hand, sheet music left hand. You'll get better at that too. And so yeah, so that gets better too. Takeaways from our discussion here, and I know I'm pulling you a tiny bit late. This just when your fingers get stuck, just be patient with them. Don't rush them; they'll get there. And then also be patient with yourself about taking your eye off the paper. You do need to look over here. You really do. It is something you got to do. So that's it. Accept a lot of failure, guys. You are brand new in music. You're brand new to the instrument. If you're not doing a lot of failing, you're not doing a lot of what the work you need to do. Um, Art is different than real life. Art requires you to try all of the wrong ways before you find the one best way. And with music in particular, oh my God. I mean, I don't know how many times where I played Sonatina um, for the next level class. And then when it came time to do the performance, it was pretty good, except in a couple of places, right? And even there, I'm still failing. So you have to accept that. You have to accept that you're going to be making a ton of mistakes. I do know from watching thousands of students at this point that you can do it. It will get better. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter how arthritic your hands are. It doesn't matter how young and spry you are. You're going to make a ton of mistakes, and then you're going to get better, and it will get better. I promise, Janice. Janice is sitting up there in this storm and this gale, and the whole entire house is coming apart, and she's like, I can't. That guy, he's telling me it's going to get better. I don't know if I believe him. It will. Okay. Thanks for being here, guys. I know I kept you late. I apologize. I talked too much. Practice your arpeggios. They're coming up on Friday. Tomorrow, we will be doing simple gifts. The complexity goes way down tomorrow, and you'll actually be really pleased with how it smoothly and beautifully that comes out of your instrument after today. All right. See y'all tomorrow. Lynn agrees. It does get better. I think as adults, we expect more of ourselves. You expect the wrong thing of yourself as an adult. As an adult, you expect you can do things right because you did it in school, you did it at your job, you do it at your house. Things are right. Use your mom brain. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm getting it as close as I can, right? That's the mom brain. Like, God, I just got to make sure they don't get, caught in the rototiller. I just got to make sure that they're not dead by the end of the day. That's the mom brain. That's with music. Use your mom brain, which is, gosh, I just got to get this close. I just got to make sure the wheels don't come off, and they'll come out fine in the end. But I gotta walk around the lake with a glass with a bottle of wine in my Starbucks cup. That's the mom brain, right? All right. Yeah. Don't lower your expectations. Just lower your tolerance for failure, and then I think that will all work out. I think that works out. Thanks, Mary. Dennis, smiling. See you soon. Nancy, many thanks. You're welcome, Nancy. Rob, I'm good at failing. That's what you got. You got to get good at failing. Rob walked in with donuts, and he's good at failing. He's our leader, guys. He is our example of what we're gonna do. I'm failing, but the successes are sweet. Yeah, it'll work. I promise. I promise this works. Just keep showing up. All right, guys. I'm gonna pull the plug. I gotta get on to the next class. Where I'm talked way too much today. You got a hard piece of music. Spend a little time on it. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Connie.